Hi, guys, and welcome to another episode of the Mind Behind the Brain talk show. My name is Frank Blackman, and today I am joined here by none other than Sam Humphrey. How are you doing today, Sam?
I'm doing great, and thank you for having me on your talk show. It's an honor and a privilege to be here.
Of course, it's an honor for us to have you today, and we really appreciate you for joining us today. So,
Once.
something that really attracted me to what you are doing is your not only your acting skills but also your advocacy work.
Hmm.
Let's talk a little bit about what motivated you to become an actor. Because
Mm,
Hollywood is a space that it's very difficult to get an acting job to begin with, and you challenge yourself to be on the screen and to provide a message for people that may not have a person to look up to that has faced what you have faced. So kind of talk
mm.
about your journey becoming an actor.
Yeah, yeah. So it all started when I was about 8 years old, really. That was kind of when the dream began, when the true dream began. I saw Hugh Jackman on the big screen, and I wanted to be an actor. Said that was the guy I wanted to follow in his footsteps. But I think one of the biggest reasons I became an actor, was one, dealing with a lot of the emotional challenges of what I went through growing up as a kid with depression, anxiety. Unfortunately, I went through suicide in my teen years. Being an actor allowed me, and I think for many people that pursue acting, allow them to get out of their own head and get out of, being themselves for a period of time and taking on a character that is maybe similar to your own, but it allows you to express your emotions and express like your what you're thinking in your head through another form of expression or art. And it's definitely a form of therapy for a lot of people. So I think that is also why I got into acting, to get out of being myself, being Sam Humphrey for, however brief periods of time that it allowed me to. So, yeah.
Great, I love that answer. So you, like you said earlier, you got the chance to work with, or your inspiration was Hugh Jackman, but you also got the
Mm,
chance to work with Hugh Jackman on The
mm,
Greatest Showman, which is a legendary movie now. Looking back on it, and you got to be a part of history. So talk about kind of the role that how that came to be about it.
mm,
When I look at that movie, I it reminds me so much of people with different, I guess, differences, I guess, for lack of a better term, come together and kind of are in this one space where they are open to be themselves. Um,
mm.
so I really like that movie for that reason. But kind of talk about your reasoning for wanting to join the cast. Obviously, I know Hugh Jackman was a big inspiration for you. Kind of
Yeah.
talk about why you wanted to join the Greatest Showman.
Yeah, so I mean, one of the biggest reasons, of course, Hugh Jackman. But at the time, when I had auditioned for the film and had been cast, at that point, I didn't actually know Hugh Jackman was involved. It just made me like more fired up to be a part of that film when I found out Hugh Jackman was involved. So basically, how it happened is I had an acting agent in the UK, which I completely forgotten about. I didn't even know I had them until one day they sent me an email out of the blue. And it was, at the time it was called The Greatest Show on Earth, which I thought was a bit of a bizarre title for a film. That's kind of how they all start out. Um, I got this email. I was going to push delete on the email because I didn't. Something in me was like, this can't be for me. Like, why is 20th Century Fox coming to me of all people to put me in their like tentpole film? So
Right.
I was gonna hit the delete button, but then I decided something in me, like my intuition was like, no, you've got to go for it. Hopes or no hopes, you've got to go for it. So I submitted an audition. I had 48 hours to turn around an audition tape, um, which I managed to get in with the help of my best friend. I sent that in. And then within like a few days, I found out I got shortlisted And then I was like really happy. So I then got on a Skype call with the director. I did kind of redid my like audition via Skype and from the director. He was happy with it. Next thing I know, I'm flying to Vancouver to meet with the director to, put the final, cross the T's and dot the I's, so to speak. And then I was cast. I got an email saying that congratulations, we have officially cast Sam Humphrey in the role of Tom Thumb. And at that point in time, like my mind was just spinning. Like there was just so much going on in my head. Like I was like, I was mentally trying to pack. I was trying to mentally comprehend like what had happened. Like just this was the role of a lifetime for me. Like to get into a major feature film and get to Hollywood, which is what I'd always dreamed of. And then to be in a film like Greatest Showman, like like you said, and like everyone has said, it's fast becoming and has become a classic now. Like it's going to be up there with Titanic,
Right.
which we were very close to beating in the cinema, staying in the cinemas with the multiplier. Very close. Didn't quite get there, but we still see that as a huge achievement. But we won a Golden Globe for that. We got Oscar nominated for Best Picture. The Golden Globe was for original music song. This Is Me. And so for all of the achievements that this movie, accomplished, the film really is about that message of diversity and coming together and bringing all types of people, no matter what their background, no matter their beliefs, their religion, their how they look, um, their gender, their sexual orientation, no matter what that is. Like it brings everyone together and it just celebrates the culture of what I believe humanity is about and what the human race is about. Like, I mean, if we can't celebrate our differences and we can't come to terms with those differences, bring us together, then what are we all doing here? So, like, it's great to see that we've made a lot of progress in the last, 50, 20, 10 years, but I still believe there's so much more that we can, do in terms of progress for diversity, inclusion, and disability empowerment. And that's why, I advocate very, very, hugely on that in that space because of Greatest Showman and, what I believe the progress that still has to be made on that front.
So let's talk about that a little bit. Thank you for that answer, and I appreciate it. So let's talk about, obviously, for those who don't know, you dealt with acrodysplasia your whole life this far, and we talk about disabilities a little bit. But now you acted in a movie that won a Golden Globe, which is huge, and so the journey from where you started to now and where you were is amazing. And I want to
Mm.
kind of ask you and kind of take us through, you know, was there ever a time where you knew that you were going to be in a Golden Globe winning movie, or was like what was that like? Did you have any idea that that was a possibility?
Yeah, I mean, that for sure was definitely, beyond my wildest dreams. Like that's something that I, wanted, deep down my heart from when I was a kid. And for me, like it's all about the power of manifestation. And when I was younger, like, that was something I didn't really understand. And that's something that, I'm trying to understand a lot more these days with, the ability to manifest, what you want and the life that you want. And so I'm focusing on that a lot more these days. But, when I was younger, like in my teen years or young adult years, like I manifested the greatest showman. I manifested working with Hugh Jackman because basically one day I was standing in my bedroom, looking out my window, like I don't know what came over me. I just had this intuitive feeling that I was going to be walking on the red carpet and that I was going to be working with Hugh Jackman. I didn't know when, I didn't know how, I didn't know what form that was going to take, but I just staring out my window, I said, like, deep down to myself, I don't know how, when, or why this is going to happen, but I will walk the red carpet and I will be working with Hugh Jackman. And 1 year later, my feet was walking the red carpet alongside Hugh Jackman. So, like, I mean, sometimes it's just the power of belief. And not to say that, it's all gonna happen, like, the next day or next month or a year from now, but it's just that power of belief. So deep down, I believed that was what was gonna come. And so, that's what I still do today. It's, still a long journey, but if you have that power of belief, anything you can manifest, anything is possible.
I love that. I love that. Thank you for that message. And you talked about in one of your recent interviews about how doctors told you that you weren't even going to live past 18 at one point.
Mm,
Um, but now you're obviously you're past 18 and you're still alive
mm.
today, and you're thriving and you're working and you're just out there and you're here with us today, and we're so grateful for that.
Thank
Um,
you.
but talk about what kept you motivated. Like who or what was that person or thing that was like, I gotta continue. I gotta keep working. I gotta, no matter how difficult my life is right now, I'm
Mm.
gonna keep progressing.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest like motivators and drivers for me is just one thing that I personally believe is my personal like philosophy is having no regrets. And so I think that keeps me very driven. Like we only have one life to live. And for me, I've watched a ton of interviews about, people that, keep going and keep going after their dreams and their passions. And one interview that I watched quite a while ago when I was younger, and I watched it a few times to keep like jogging my memory, is this interview of someone who said they interview people, on their deathbeds, elderly people on their deathbeds, and all of them had said that it wasn't the things they did that they regretted, it was the things that they didn't do. And that really coming to terms with my own mortality when I was at a very young age was, and possibly, not making it past my 18th birthday and not knowing the, number of days that I have in my life really kept me driven to be like, I don't want to have any regrets. If I die tomorrow, then at least I can say I gave, everything I had. I, 100% gave it all to my dreams, all to my passions, and I could maybe not necessarily die happy, but I could die satisfied.
Right, right,
So,
right.
so that keeps me driven, and I think the challenges and struggles that I faced growing up, and my life is not all sunshine and rainbows today. I still have those struggles and challenges. I still go through those, up days and down days, where not everything goes according to plan. But it's just reminding myself that could be worse, and that when I was going through those struggles and challenges when I was younger, seeing the struggles and challenges that all the other people that are also going through, that if I can, through learning through my own experiences, if I can make someone else's life better by giving my wisdom and my experience from what I've learned at such a young age, and I can help change their lives or better their lives, just at all, like just one little tiny 1%, then it's all worth it for me to keep pushing forward to help them, you know, learn earlier in their life from what I've gone through than having to go through all that struggle and all those challenges to learn it like I have. So, and for me, suicide is a very, very heavy subject and it's very close to my heart. And I talk about mental health awareness and suicide awareness and, disability awareness a lot because I really want to get that message out there that if you're struggling and you need help, talk about it. It's not, we need to break that stigma today that's in society that talking about it is weakness. Talking about it and being vulnerable is, a bad thing because it's not bad. I always say expressing true vulnerability is true strength.
Right.
And society wants to, I think society wants to, like, put this whole glamorized vision on the fact that if we talk about, what we're struggling with and we're vulnerable, that we're showing our weakness. But I think it's completely opposite. If we can show what we're going through and show that we are human beings, that being vulnerable takes true strength to open up and tell people what you're going through and that you need help. So yeah, I try to tell people that's okay to open up and talk about it and seek, therapy if that is needed.
No, absolutely. I've been on this mental health journey of mine for I just realized recently, but I dealt with depression for about 7 years and throughout
Mm,
my childhood, and I didn't know it until recently. I didn't realize it until I was happy again.
mm,
Um, and so that was a journey for me that I had to go through. And you're absolutely right. I tell people all the time the best way to reduce stigma or to stop stigma in general is just to communicate with your loved ones and even people who might not seem like they're struggling on the outside.
mm,
Have conversations even if everything seems okay. So I totally agree with you on everything that you just said right there.
mm. Thank
Um,
you.
and my last guest on here, he said something very interesting that you also mentioned just now. He said, if I'm helping myself or if I'm helping just one person, I'm doing something positive. So thank you again for sharing. You
Mm,
shared a lot right there. So thank you for sharing all that. But my next question to you is, we see people in the public eye, especially celebrities. You have a celebrity stature, and we see them on social media now. We live in a world of technology that everybody seems to have this glamorous lifestyle, this lifestyle that um, that kids see on their phones and try to emulate.
mm.
So talk about how everything is not, as you said, sunshine and rainbows all the time, and how sometimes people do struggle, and especially people in the public eye.
Yeah. So I think the problem with like social media and technology that we have today, like, I mean, it's great. It allows us to connect to people that we once could never connect with. But the problem with that is that people over glamorize themselves on social media. They put up their, social media is all about filters. It's all about, putting up the most glamorous side of yourself, which is fine. Like, I mean, I think sometimes we need to be able to look at ourselves and be, proud of ourselves and all that. But the dangerous side of that is that when we when we use social media so much to make ourselves look, amazing and glamorous and make it look like we have the perfect lifestyle, it it doesn't allow us to be real with people. It doesn't allow us to show our true human vulnerability. And so then, like, the dangers of that is, like you said, when we have, kids and teenagers looking at all these celebrities that, have the quote unquote perfect lifestyle and have it all, kids and teenagers think, oh, this is what it means to be successful. This is what it means to be happy. This is what it means to be, satisfied and fulfilled. Which, not to say that that's wrong, but it's dangerous when we allow that to, overcome our mental well-being and overcome what we believe success is and we believe what happiness is, and that there's society and social media and I think Hollywood creates this fake vision of there being one way to be successful, and there's one way to have the human experience. And I think that that's dangerous because there's many different experiences to life, and there's many different journeys that everyone goes through chapters and seasons of their lives where there's ups and downs. And when social media is constantly showing the beautiful glamorous side of life, then we think when we're experiencing the down parts of our lives, we think, oh, there's something wrong with us. We aren't experiencing what, life, the true fulfillment and happiness of what life should be about. And when kids and teenagers see that, they're very impressionable. They're not fully developed with their mental health yet. They're not fully developed with their, maturity. So they're very impressionable and they will take that on. And so if they're not grounded or they don't know who they are or they're not confident in themselves, they will easily pick up that, and that's where we get, those levels, those higher levels of mental health issues and those higher increasing rates of suicide. And so for me, the reason I talk about all this so openly, is to say that I think celebrities and even, just people in the public eye that really have, influence over society and over the younger generations need to be aware and need to be fully open about the realities and the struggles of what life is really about instead of, fully glamorizing it because young people will think that there's something wrong with them if they're not having the quote unquote perfect lifestyle that they're seeing on social media. And then it really plays with them, and, it's just I just want people to try and be as real and open as possible so that people can see it's not all, sunshine and rainbows. That you will have days where you will have, be depressed. You will have, days when not everything goes right. And you just have to learn to get over that. It's just temporary feelings, and the happiness will come at the end. And that's why suicide happens, because when people take their own lives, they believe that these feelings that they're having of, depression, anxiety, of stress, and all of that, they believe that they'll never find happiness. They'll never find fulfillment. They'll never come out of depression and anxiety. And so their only way to end it is to end it permanently.
Mhm.
And unfortunately, I hear too many of these, stories where people just feel like there's no way out and other than to end their life, and it's just a sad story. So yeah.
Yeah, I can totally relate and agree with you on that point as well. And I want to ask you, obviously you've been through a lot in your life and you've
Mm,
experienced a lot. But what motivates you to? And I know I kind of asked you this in a different form earlier, but
mm.
maybe this is different as far as motivation is concerned. But what motivated you to help other people and kind of be an advocate and mentor for maybe younger kids who are struggling with what you have struggled
Mm.
with, or maybe something different?
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, it's a little bit similar to like the last answer was just that going through my challenges and struggles, and though I may still be, going through some of those challenges and struggles, like I've learned that you can come to terms with these challenges and struggles and still be okay and still be strong and still get through each day, dealing with these challenges and struggles, as long as you have the techniques and the methods to help you overcome these that don't push you to your breaking point where you feel like there's no way out and have to end your life. And so for me, being able to at least overcome some of those challenges and some of those struggles where I don't want to end my own life, because I tried and I just wasn't, I didn't think that was the answer. um so helping other people see that there is hope and that there is light at the end of the tunnel, and that in the charities and the organizations that I support, and the organization that I'm currently founding, called The Little Guy, hashtag standing up for the little guys, is about, standing in the gap of one, equality, and standing in the gap between people who are struggling, and people who have, found their, I don't want to say success, but I want to say their vision and their interpretation of success. Because not everyone's version or vision of success is the same. Not everyone wants to make $1 million. Some people want to have a happy family, and some people, want to work a 9 to 5 job and be happy, and that's all they want. Some people want to go and, you know, hang out at the beach all day and do that 5 days a week or 7 days a week, and that's their vision of happiness. So I want to help people explore and get out, get to a level where they're, feeling okay and, thriving to a comfortable level and achieving their version of success, whatever that may be. And so that they're not feeling depressed, anxious, feeling like the only answer is suicide, because as I discovered, wasn't the answer for me. And when I hear and see stories of people taking their lives, like it just breaks my heart, like
Yeah.
because I was there, and like I can't fathom what would have happened to all of my friends and my family, and the heartbreak that I would have caused them if I had ended my life.
Hmm.
And so I want to stand in the gap to say no, and I want to help people and pull people up out of that place and show them that life can be beautiful and happy again. So
No, you made some great points there. One thing I want to point out that I think that we need to place more emphasis on that you said is the achieving your own version of happiness because right because yeah, like we talked about earlier with social media, like you see all these people that live these lifestyles and we try to emulate that, but in reality what makes you happy and doing the things that make you happy um, will make your world more happy or make your world more full, and you'll have a enjoy who you are
mm,
better, and it just makes a full circle moment of just enjoying life. I think a little bit more.
mm,
I just want to place more emphasis on that, and also the fact that not pressuring people to live the lifestyle that you want them to live. Like you said, everybody doesn't
mm,
want $1 million. Everybody doesn't want to um, have the big house and all that. Everybody, maybe some people just want to live a simplistic lifestyle, and that's perfectly okay. You don't have to
mm,
live up to somebody else's expectations all the time. And I think we oftentimes try to do that, which is why we have so many deaths and
mm.
so many mental health issues amongst our amongst teens and young adults. And so I'm really glad you said that. I'm really glad you
Mm.
made that point.
I mean, there's so much pressure, like from society and like again, it's not necessarily fully on the shoulders of the parents as well, because I think society is also influencing parents on what success looks like and how to be successful. 20, 30, 40 years ago, success was, um, do well in school, get good grades, get a great, university score so you can go to a great college, you go to a great university, and, get a great job. And, like, our world has changed so much since then. There are so many things, that have progressed in our world today where you could be a video gamer and be making $1 million. Like, that wasn't a thing like 20 years ago.
Yeah,
So, like, if your kid wants to do that, be happy and let them do that. Like, don't put so much pressure on them to be successful in the terms that, society once said was the way to be successful or be happy or whatnot. So just let to all the parents out there, let your kid explore and let your kid, just be happy with passions and things that they like to do. They'll find their journey. They'll find their life path as it's supposed to unfold. So just let them explore and find what makes them happy without putting all the pressure of society on them.
right. Thank you again for sharing that. I like that too. Not putting pressure on your kids to yeah. Everything you said, you summed it up great. So
Thank you.
my last question or second to last question to you is what's the dream accomplishment or what's something that will solidify um, what you're doing, whether that be through advocacy or through acting. What would be
Mm,
the dream role or maybe the dream goal as far as advocacy work that would just solidify everything that you've done to this point?
mm. Yeah, so I think one of my biggest things that for me would kind of bring it all together is in terms of acting is I do have the goal of, winning an Oscar, winning a Golden Globe for myself, as one of the first little people that has won, those prestigious awards. And I know, like, for myself, that's not the be all end all, but I think in terms of like diversity, inclusion, and disability advocacy as well, like that is a big leap forward for a person like myself being one of the first small people to be nominated in a position like that to win a Golden Globe or to win an Oscar. I think would really show the progress that we're made in terms of diversity and inclusion. As we've seen in the award shows, we've seen more disability projects be nominated. We've seen more people of color get into the award shows. We've seen more people of ethnic nationalities make it in there. Film directors, producers, actors, and men and women alike. So that's to me, that's my dream. It's just to see not only Hollywood but society as a whole become more diverse and inclusive. Where my vision of the human race really just coming together and being one and believing in one another and not being so against each other. That's my goal, and that would really make me happy. Is that the human race could just coexist without being against each other, without fighting wars and all that stuff, and understanding that we're all one. We're one race. We're the human race. So that's what I want to see happen.
Well, thank you, Sam, so much for being a part of this show today. I really appreciate you. So last episode was the first episode I've ever done of this specific talk show. So I'm making it a tradition now, where we donate to whatever the guest cause they want to tell us to donate to. So we're gonna push that out to our listeners as well. But if you can give me an organization, or I know you have a couple of organizations on your own,
Mhm,
you have a goal specifically that you want to reach, just let us know. Um,
mhm.
so what I'm gonna do this on air. So what would that be? What do you think? What do you think?
Yeah. So one of the charities that I support in Australia is called Gotcha for Life, and they are a suicide awareness organization for men who are struggling with suicide awareness. So that is one charity that I would like people to get behind and support.
Alrighty, thank you, Sam. I would definitely I will reach out to you after this and have you some of the information about that, or the donation page, or however, and we'll
Mhm.
get that done. But I want to thank you again for being a part of Mind Behind the Brain. Stick around with me after this. But thank you guys for joining us today.
Awesome. Thank you.